Hello everyone, Melody here, Mama of 4 and our blended family of 6. Welcome to Homeschool Happy Hour. I'm so happy that you're here today. We are going to take a look inside the second book of the Life of Fred Pre-Algebra Math series, and that is Pre-Algebra 1 with Biology. If you're interested in taking a look inside this book with us, please stick with us while we jump right on into it. If you're interested in seeing the book that comes before this, which is actually Pre-Algebra 0, then make sure you check out our Life of Fred Pre-Algebra 0 with Physics video. But for today, we're gonna look at Life of Fred Pre-Algebra 1 with Biology. Before I chat on any further, let's get started. If you're new here, my name is Melody. I've been homeschooling for 9 years. I am the mom in our blended family of 6, and I love talking curriculum. We are secular homeschoolers, and so we do try and focus on secular curricula choices on this channel. I believe Life of Fred in the earlier grades does have religious content. I have not gone through these books cover to cover to see if there's anything in there, but this was provided to me by a public school teacher, and she told me that it is a secular material at this level. I can't speak to the other books, but so far we've had good luck with these books. Now, I want to give you a chance to just look on the inside of the book and decide whether or not this is the style for you, whether or not this is something that might help your kids. I have a kiddo that hates math, but loves reading and language arts. So this series has been suggested to me multiple times, and maybe it would work for you as well. Before I chatter on about it too much, let's just jump in and check it out.
Here is our Life of Fred Pre-Algebra 1 with Biology, as serious as it needs to be, by Stanley F. Schmidt. If you have had a chance to look at the Pre-Algebra 0 with Physics, and you've seen some of the content in here, you'll notice that there's a lot of humor in it. You'll notice that it is definitely created for homeschool families as opposed to a public school classroom. And as far as it being secular, the only non-secular item that I have found in these books is this opening line where it says, "To the greater glory of God," but that has nothing to do with the content otherwise, so far as I've seen. If you've seen differently, you make sure and let us know. But the content in here seems to be great, even for the secular homeschooling family. It talks about pre-algebra, and is pre-algebra really a thing, or is it not a thing? I mean, that's subjective, of course. I do like, he's got like almost a sense of sarcasm in the way he writes his books, which I find to be entertaining and humorous. And if I can be entertained when I'm learning, I'm going to hold on to that information a lot more than I would if I'm bored out of my mind. So again, this book doesn't have a lot of color, but it does have some funny little drawings to keep you interested. It's not all text. And then I like how they vary the way it's written. Just simple things like having the words change size and all that help. The beginning, you go to school, you sit in a room for 50 minutes and study history. Then they ring a bell and you go into another room and study a foreign language. Then they ring a bell and you go into another room and study biology. Doesn't that seem a little unnatural to you? If you're a homeschooler, you will appreciate that. And he has that approach throughout this entire book. We're talking about real life learning, not classroom learning here. And it talks about the importance of putting effort if you really want to gain from the book. Personal responsibility and effort are important parts of homeschooling, and so I appreciate that they take the time to point that out. For this book, you can use a calculator as opposed to the other book, but otherwise it's really structured the same way. We have our table of contents and then the bridge. We have the next set of chapters and then the bridge. Each chapter is one lesson. Now, how long you spend on that lesson, of course, is entirely up to you. Each lesson is really a combination in this book of biology, history, and mathematics. I love how it's a combined approach. It does not have a teacher's manual, although I imagine it probably has a secondary book that you could optionally purchase with more problems for each chapter. If your kiddo was needing more time to work on the concepts from each chapter, they have another book that will allow you to do that. For today, we're just going to look at their main book. Chapter 1, Living Things. Looking at this, this is the one thing that I, as a secular homeschooler, I would wonder if they were mentioning, creationism, that kind of stuff, because it does hit on history, but I haven't seen that yet. I have not gone through this book with my kiddos. And so it's definitely possible that it's in here. And if you've seen it, you can let me know. But for us, that's really not that big of a deal. We can take that opportunity to talk about different approaches and different viewpoints in the world. We've got your turn to play and then the complete solutions. This one is not quite the same as the other in that you have the questions for the kiddo and the solutions side by side. I might take a paper and cover this when my kid did the your turn to play, just so they weren't inclined to go straight to the solutions and they could spend some time thinking through the questions, or you could just have a discussion. This is not a consumable book in that it's not meant to be written in. On one hand, that's great because you can reuse it. On the other hand, that means you need to have a notebook or binder or something where you can have the papers that they're going to work on. Or if you don't keep records of your work, you could just do a whiteboard. Although I do strongly recommend people keep records of their work because you never know when that is going to come in handy. I'm going to jump to the first bridge. Here we go. Again, if you've not done any and you just jumped straight into this book without any of the others, then you could get an explanation on what a bridge is, how important a bridge is, and the best way to use it. And then it goes straight into the bridge. You'll notice they have a first try, a second try, a third try, and a fourth try, meaning all of these pages are not intended to be done. You do the first try. If your kid demonstrates they understand the material, then you skip straight to the next chapter. And then it goes into the next section of material. Now, it's pretty much the same concept throughout. It's story style. It's covering biology, history, and mathematics all in one. And then it just has the opportunity for your kid to try it out. Again, it's mostly word problems. I am not a big fan of that, but some people are. It really just depends on what works for you. In this particular book, they have the answers to the bridge questions in the back of the book. So again, there is no teacher's manual. Everything you need is in this one book, unless you want the second book they have as optional, which has additional work problems to go through. And that wraps up Life of Fred Pre-Algebra 1 with biology.
Thank you for sticking with me on that one. I hope that inside look is helpful to you, gives you the information you need to decide whether or not this curriculum is the right choice for you. If you have used this book and you have feedback, positive or negative, make sure and drop that in the comment box below so you can help other people decide and have more information before they bring it into their home, because nobody likes purchasing curriculum that we end up not using. So let's help each other out. If you're interested in the next and the last book of this pre-algebra series from Life of Fred, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and follow along, because my next video out will be about the last book, which is Pre-Algebra 2 with economics. But for today, that's all I've got for you. Again, I hope that was helpful, and I will catch you next time.